Welcome everybody back to the big program here at Rob's MetalWorks. We are continuing our work in 2021 and we're going to continue to support the best in San Antonio metal. Brings me great pleasure to welcome a band that has a long history with the members here in our metal scene. I have Roy, Jaime, and Jojo of the band Crownsxcoffins. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Great to have you here tonight.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Ah, man, we've already been talking quite a bit before we started rolling. So much, as I just mentioned, so much rich history in this band, despite the fact that the band is fairly new. And I think that's kind of where I want to start, because there's a lot of young people who watch our show, and also people outside of our region and the state who watch the program. So just so they can kind of gauge what I already feel about you guys as veterans of our scene, talk a little bit. I would like each of you just to talk quickly a little bit about your history in the San Antonio scene.
Yeah. So I've been in the local scene for about 23 years. It's funny because I actually used to watch Rob's MetalWorks on Channel 21.
Okay, yeah.
Channel 21 way back in the day. And I was so young. Back in the day when there was like Low Key, Psycho Plague, Kill Switch Incorporated. Way back then I used to watch Rob's MetalWorks on that channel. So I've been in a lot of local bands from 11 to I'm 34 right now. Wow. I don't want to date myself, but kind of like, we're just stay local. I've had some bands that have done some things, but we pretty much stayed local.
Yeah, and I think you probably started playing before me. Is that what you're saying? Because I've been around like 20 years.
Yeah.
You've been around a little bit longer?
I used to watch your band.
Oh, yeah.
When I was like 12, 13 years old.
That's a very cool thing.
It is. Drug Honey.
My first band was Drug Honey. I must have been about, I don't remember, 20 in my 20s. I remember
seeing you with your long-ass hair.
Yeah, my hair was down to here.
Was your brother in that band?
Yeah, David's always been
with you. You guys have always been a duo.
Pretty much in every band.
That's cool, man.
That I've done.
Cool.
With Jason Sandbach, R.I.P.
Yeah, Jason.
Sandbach.
Yeah, so Jason and I were both in Drug Honey. And actually, David wasn't originally in the band in Drug Honey. It was me and Jason that started it. And then David came in. And then we went on to Finn.
Forever is Never.
Yeah. Remember them?
You know what, dude? Remember when I asked you to send me the records of Finn, the digital records, the songs? I did get them. And sometimes, believe it or not, I can remember there was some fan. And if you're watching, let me know. Some crazy fan messaged me. And he says, Rob, do you have the Forever is Never CDs? And I said, dude, I probably do, but there's somewhere in my archive, and I would have to pull a whole bunch of shit out to find it. And he was like, dude, if you ever run across it, let me know. I need to get my hands on that music. So to me, it kind of made me feel like those songs and those records, those two records, were really like part of his history, his foundation, something that he just wanted to touch base with again.
I used to have them up on a website. And it was for free, all the downloads, but no. But something happened, and I think somebody hacked it or something. So I haven't put it up again, but if anybody wants it, let Rob know, and he'll get in touch with me, and we'll get it to you, because we want everybody to have it that wanted it.
Sure.
Now, Roy?
I guess I'm more of the newer one. Like, I haven't been playing too much in San Antonio. Maybe like 10, 12 years. I mean, compared to 20 years.
To these guys.
I mean, compared to this veteran here, man. I mean, Jesus. But I've only been in maybe just a handful of bands. Remanon's kind of my main one. Yeah. I was in Piranha for a hot minute.
Yep.
And then Crownsxcoffins and damn, I don't my solo stuff, but that's kind of it. I kind of stay the course, I'll try to make it work as long as I can until it just can't no more. And luckily my baby is going, and this is going great.
That's great, man.
I love it,
dude. I was really kind of happy when I saw that you were part of the Crownsxcoffins lineup, because I remember working with Remanon a few years back, and I remember one of the things I loved about Remanon, especially because you just have one guitar player, that the drums really have to be a big prominent sound. It was part of their sound.
Right.
And you guys, you were an amazing drummer, dude. I'll tell you that on camera.
I appreciate that.
Amazing drummer. And I remember before you got here, I was telling Jaime and Jojo, I was like, yeah, man, like Roy's kit's not even that big, but he's very diverse with what he does with it. Yeah. So yeah, man.
It's not about the size; it's about how you.
It's how you use it.
Yeah,
but also the size.
Remember that, ladies.
I could agree with that.
No, yeah, I mean, being the prog background of that band, the musicality is always everywhere. Everyone's always trying to fill in space as much as we can, play as many notes as we can.
Sure.
So yeah, and then Matt's great. We had that one guitarist, but he plays the acoustic, so it's like he kind of pulls it out on both songs. Both guitars on one song, so it's cool. We're still doing that though.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna learn all about Crowns and Coffins tonight, and I think as we get started, I have to share a little bit about how I came to know of the band. And we were talking about Clifton Miles earlier, producer, engineer out at Stone Creek, and I remember one day, he knows that there's so much stuff, you just get inundated with stuff sometimes, and but whenever Cliff comes calling, I listen. Right. So because I know he's producing great stuff. So Cliff, I remember he messaged me, like I told you, he's like, Jaime Monzon? And I'm like, yeah, I know Jaime, dude. I go way back with that dude. He's like, dude, he's got a new band and I'm producing his new stuff. He goes, you want to hear it? I'm like, yeah, send me what you got. And so remember when he sent me the tracks, and I got the Dying as They Flew and Decibels. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that yet. Decibels. Okay.
All good.
Okay. It's called Decibels now, but I got that track. So I've been very happy that I'm privy to hear kind of this music. And I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And I told Cliff, I said, yeah, man, I definitely want to work with these guys. So on that note, share a little bit about how this kind of band came together. And I guess it's kind of start off because you were kind of telling me, Rob, I was out. Sometimes music is in your blood, and sometimes you need to focus on other things. And if you're gonna do music in our scene, your heart has to be in it.
Right. So right before that, we were doing Slow Like Fire. I don't know how long did we do that for? Like 4 years.
About 4 years.
We did some touring. We had like 2 albums, an EP and an album, and then things just came to a head where things started changing. Our drummer was. He was going to school. You started going to school. Yeah. So it was going to be like, man, I can't be in it as much as I used to. So then we were like, okay, well, we'll see what we can do. And just nothing really happened. And then eventually we just stopped. And I took the first break that I've taken from a band in 15 years or so.
Wow.
And I didn't even touch my guitar for a year. That had never happened. It was actually nice because I was so far into being a musician only that I missed birthdays, I missed anniversaries, I missed everything because it was all about your band and your next show and your touring, and it was awesome. It was fun. It was great, but I missed a lot of things.
Sure.
And it was nice to be able to do those things. Like my parents would be like, "Hey, we're gonna have a birthday party," and I'm like, "Cool, can you make it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can." And they were like, "Oh, it's so nice to have you here,"
Can. I hate when people answer me like that. I can. I'm like, what the fuck? That doesn't mean you're coming.
So, no, but it was nice to actually not miss things, and it was great. And then I got a phone call from Daniel Urias, used to be in Low Key. He was actually in Finn for a while too, and said, I have this band I'm putting together. Do you want to be a part of it? And I was like, no, not really. I'm enjoying my time finally. That's cool. But we talked, and then I thought about it, and I was like,
he was a drummer.
Yeah. I was like, well, I haven't played in a year. It'd be nice. I told David about it because we usually do things together, and he's like, I'm not really sure I want to do anything right now, but why? If you go, let me know. And I went, and Ian was playing bass at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember. I saw the video with him in it.
Yeah.
So there was nothing that we had at all. We just kind of hung out.
But did he know, like, okay, if I invite Jaime to be in the band, his brother's gonna come along too?
He said that he didn't, but he already knew that that's probably what would happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like all I gotta do is get Jaime to commit, and his brother will.
He actually told me, he's like, I was hoping if you wanted to do this, that David would come with you.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's exactly what happened. And what was funny is that at the time, I was just having fun. All I wanted to do was jam and play. Like, I hadn't felt like that in years, like since, you know, I was a teenager and just wanted to jam. Things got serious all the time. So this was just fun to like jam. And I was playing with like, I'd never played with Ian before. That was so much fun. You know, we had a blast. And
another veteran bassist for Low Key.
Yeah, so it
Ian
was
trained.
great. And as a matter of fact, this guy was nowhere around at the time. So we started, David came over the first time we hung out, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then we got this idea that we had these songs that we had never been able to use that we thought were really good, and we just kind of kept them until the right opportunity came along. So we brought a couple out, and really quickly they were like bad. They sounded great.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden this guy messages me. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing now?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm kind of putting together this project." He's like, "Let me hear it." And I was like, "I don't think this is kind of what you did before." And he's like,
"Fine."
And he's like, "Well, let me try it." And so I send him over, and he like, "You did something different." Like, I wanted him to be more aggressive.
Right.
So, because in Slow Like Fire, like our prior band, it was not calm, but it was more of a sexy singing voice, and I wanted something a little more aggressive.
Yeah.
And it came out, and I was like, wow, that sounds really good. Like, so then we started working with him again.
And this was 2018?
Yeah.
Borai?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, it hasn't been that long. 4 years now?
I think our first show ever, was it, I can't remember if it was 2018 or 2019, but it was a South by Southwest show.
Wow.
And that was our first show that we ever did, and it was fun.
Yeah.
So.
But you know, so Crownsxcoffins is new-ish, but it's like you look at the timeline of writing music in 2018, then play a show in 2019, and then the world shuts down in 2020. Right. You know, so I'd still say we're fairly new and haven't even discovered what we're gonna be.
That's a good point. And Jojo, how would you kind of, now that when you got in the fold, obviously Jaime just said because of what you're bringing in vocally, how do you best describe what you're saying, what you're doing musically? Like, what if someone says, "Oh, tell me a little bit about the vibe of Crownsxcoffins"? What do you say?
Yeah, so really, Crownsxcoffins, because me, Jaime, and David were in a band for a while before that, Slow Like Fire, and it felt like when we got in Crownsxcoffins, it was gearing towards more. You just don't want to repeat the same history. Right. You know, and history tends to repeat itself, and you know, you have your style of writing, but I think what we were going for was still to keep the sound, because him and his brother have a sound.
Right.
You know, I mean, they work the way they work together, but I think the mentality was, let's be not different, thinking like we're going to be different from what the scene is, but we're going to be different from what we were. You know, so it's kind of like growing within yourself, because a lot of times the mentality gets to be like, I want to be different from everyone else. And that doesn't really get anywhere, because then you're like struggling to find identity. These guys have been in it for a while, you know, and it wasn't a matter of finding a different identity. It was more a matter of, let's just progress from where we are.
Right.
You know?
Right. And I guess it becomes a little easier to do that now that we're kind of like your veterans, your older guys. You know what your strengths and weaknesses are. You know what direction you want to pursue. And so, you know, you're not spending a lot of time figuring it out.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. You guys got busy pretty quickly, right? And just so that people know, there hasn't been an official like LP out or EP out. You guys have just kind of been dropping kind of some of these singles. So I've kind of done my research, and I've seen some of the stuff that you did in 2018. Like, you already guys not only just dropped singles, but dropped some videos too in 2018.
that was kind of the introduction of the band. We kind of didn't really say anything, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, here's a video. This is our new project. Hopefully you like it. Yeah. And then here's and we're playing next week or something like that. Right. And our first show is during South by Southwest, and then we came back, started playing San Antonio.
Because it's kind of hard to like be new in the local scene. You know what I mean? Like, we came from a time way back where they didn't. It was like kind of foreign to put out music videos. So then now, like, being in this time where like everything is digital, like it's a lot easier to put out music videos. So we're like, let's not announce things until we have things kind of in order.
Sure.
Yeah, because then if we're like, you know how things are going right now, like something could be canceled already next week. So we don't want to be like, oh, check out next week. We're going to have something really cool. Like, no, it's like, let's not say anything till we have it. Not till we have it, because I don't want like to, I'll be like, oh, yeah, maybe next month.
Right. The world's ending. Right. Yeah, so I saw a video for a song for The Divided, and then Lips to the Vial.
Yeah.
Is that it? Mm-hmm. Those are pretty cool tracks, too. And then the newest one, The Dying as They Flew, is the new video. I really dig that video, and I also dig the song. And I think that, you know, what I think you really hit it, the nail on the head when you said like that the Monzon brothers really kind of have their own sound. And it's not like this heavy, brutal sound. It's very can be technical and melodic, and you know, get rocking, but also go back into the serenity mode. And I really like that. That's so cool.
It was very different for what we've normally done, because it's so like, it's almost very subtle. So like our guitar playing had to be very subtle. Like it's almost like it's weaving in and out of your ear.
Great.
So, and then we kind of like make sure that everything complements the voice and everything like that, the drums. So I don't think we really think about it. I think it's just kind of something that happens when we're together. So,
and Jojo, I'm going to say this too on camera. I've known about you for a long time, man, and I've always dug your vibe.
Well, thank you, man. That's awesome to hear, man.
And you know, I've been in conversations with other musicians, and your name will come up, and you know, I've never had a chance to actually sit down and meet you and talk to you before tonight, but I've always kind of admired what you've done, you know, from afar, and seen the work that you've done with previous bands. So I think you fit in perfectly here in what you're trying to accomplish with Crownsxcoffins. So
thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about your work with Cliff. Are you guys done with Cliff? Have you already produced all the songs that you want to record with him, or is that still in the works?
So we have a whole EP done. We're just kind of waiting on the mixes, and you know, like the mixing process is it's a process, you know, because we're not Cliff's only project,
right.
So it's like it's a waiting game, but then at the same time, it's when he sends something back, it's like he's a part of our band, because it's like he has to kind of like be in tune with what we're hearing, but then at the same time, we have to give him that creative space to let him like do what he's feeling.
Thing,
yeah. So, you know, it's a process. So at this point right now, we have about like five songs total. We've
done 6 songs with him. One of them was 5 songs. One of them, we put out a video for a song for The Divided, but it was a little farther away from these, so I don't know if it's going to be something that's going to be part of the EP. I don't even know if it's going to be an EP or if it's going to be singles.
That was going to be my next question.
We're still like figuring that out, because
we'll get the mixes first.
Once everything's done, we'll figure out what we're going to do. I've never played around with just putting out singles here and there. Sounds like it could be a good thing because it makes people anticipate. But then everybody also likes to hold the CD in their hand, or they used to. I don't know if that's a thing anymore.
It depends.
Cool. Vinyls, if we can just get to a vinyl. We can call it.
But I feel like people buy vinyl and they don't listen to it. They just
hang it on their wall.
Like Rob collection.
No, but my vinyls are like 20 years old. No, but I think that's definitely a topic for a band meeting, and you know, especially in our day and age, you know, I think that there's pros and cons. And as we were talking about before we started rolling, we were talking about A Killer's Confession. Those guys are like releasing one single every month. And I remember when I interviewed the guy, he said, we're going to do that all year. The benefit of that, of course, is like, you keep your name relevant and it's out in the market. Here's our new song. You're instead of dropping your wad and then, 3 months later, people forget about the EP.
It's not what you did, it's what you're doing for us right now, right?
Sure. And again, if you're, I think the younger people out there, people in their 20s and stuff, yeah, they grew up differently than we did. And, they're you release a single, they're like, boom, I'm going to download it right now and buy it and jam it right now on their phone. So, yeah, but and then half of me also kind of feels like Roy, I want something tangible in my hand. I want to be able to jam, 4 or 5 songs from the band. But, if you release, a little bit at a time.
The thing now that I'm hearing is playlists. So, everyone wants to get on a playlist. Everyone, and so that's what really helps with the single dropping is, you can just throw your single out to this playlist or that playlist. So I mean, it really helps in that sense too.
Yeah,
the singles.
Sure, and it's so immediate too. But I can't stress enough, and you guys know this as veterans, but all the stuff you're doing on the back end is just as important. You can have a great song and produced by someone like Cliff, but if people are not hearing it, then it was all for naught. So the strategy on what you're doing in the back end is so important.
Yeah, and kind of like staying like current with what even the strategy could be, because everything is changing. We're like old school. I mean, I used to hand out flyers.
And that's been one of the questions we have been trying to figure out. Like, how do we promote ourselves now in this in this new, I don't know, I want to call it a new age.
If I gave somebody a flyer, they would probably like roll it up.
Dude, the other day I saw. I'm going to talk about you, Will Taylor from this band called Within the Giant's Reach. We're at a show, and he was out there passing out flyers to people about not about his record, but a show that he was going to do. And I was like, damn, dude, you're doing it old school. I would see people do. Remember, people used to put flyers on your car?
Yeah, that's putting in work.
Honestly, yeah, that's putting in work.
That's putting in work.
But even if they don't keep the flyer, at least they're going to remember, like, yeah, I met the dude from Within Giant's Reach.
That's right.
And he's out there working it, and I think that says a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's so crazy.
That's still something that's in my mind. Like, I still think about promoting. Oh, we have to promote. We should probably print some flyers and go pass them out.
I don't know if Drug Honey and all of y'all headliners back then had to promote, because people just saw y'all's name. Like,
we passed out thousands of flyers, all the time, and that was like when the internet was like.
Barely, yeah. I was the same way too, man. I used to tell my guys, I said, dude, we could interview James Hetfield from Metallica, but if nobody watches it, then what the fuck do we do it for? Sure. You have to market. You always have to promote what you're doing. And, things are a lot, I think we're a little spoiled now. Things are a lot easier because of social media. But at the same time, you have to be very strategic with what you're doing. Sometimes, I get after some of my friends who are in bands. I said, dude, you're promoting that show like way too early. It's in October, bro. Why are you talking about it right now?
It's February right now, brother.
Exactly.
Let Valentine's Day pass.
And you have to be very careful, too. I think some people don't realize, too, that you can cannibalize your own efforts by talking about things too early. Sure. Yeah. If you go the EP route, when would you like the EP out? If you do that.
I would probably say, depending on when we get our mixes, but I would love to have it like by October.
Cliff, get them back, Cliff.
I don't know.
October. Yeah, that's great.
October's great. Yeah.
The fall, Rocktober.
Rocktober.
The fall is always great, man, for new music. People are always kind of, now they're putting on their hoodies. They're ready to go out and go to the shows and jam new music. Right, Thomas? Yes. Yeah, dude. So I know.
Painting their nails black.
Exactly. It's Halloween and shit. Yeah. Great. So let's kind of talk about the new track, The Dying as They Flew. Talk a little bit about the track and talk also about the video, because you people should watch the video right after we're done here. So check it out.
The song it's one of our slower tracks. It's more on the melodic, kind of like darker tone with a kind of bright chorus. But the whole basis of the song was just like kind of like a fight within yourself. So dying as they flew. Now, let me tell you a funny story really quick,
Go for it.
Now, okay, so I'm a pretty deep guy. Like, if you read my lyrics, it's poetic, but the title came to me. I had just moved into my house, and I would come home and there was like a roach or two, and I was like, oh man, I felt like, why do I have to go through this? Why do I gotta kill this roach? Like, I just want to go to sleep. And then so finally I went to HEB and I bought this like bug spray for $10.99 or something, and I sprayed it all over my house like super psychotically. And then I went to sleep. I woke up the next day and there was these roaches that just came out and they were flying, but like you could tell that they were dying. Yeah. And I was like, man, those roaches are like dying as they're flying. And I was like, dying as they flew. That's such a cool name. I was like, dying as they flew. And then so Jaime and like the band sent me the song, and I'm the type, like, I'll write something cool down and then I'll kind of like write to that. You know what I mean? So that's how the song title I came up with. This song itself is a little bit deeper for sure. It's not about roaches, but that's how I came up with the title.
Wow. You might have ruined that song for some people.
I think so.
Hey, there's people out there that hate roaches, and they're gonna appreciate that. Those they were dying.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it is a very scary, precarious time that we live in, and I'm glad that, you know, we can still bring some humor into it. You know, we were talking also about kind of the uncertainty of what's happening in our world, and especially in the music industry. You know, it's uncertain. We don't know. We see, you know, a lot of scary things happening right now. How do you guys kind of feel about doing shows and stuff? Is that still something that you want to dive into still, even though, you know, we're seeing a lot of new regulations coming out from the clubs, and hopefully here locally, like at the Rock Box or at Vibes, we don't see a whole lot of other restrictions happening again? Because I for one, and I'll personally speak to myself, I didn't like going to clubs during the restriction time. And of course, you know, I didn't want to be exposed, but it just wasn't fun for me like it used to be because of the restriction. I was still there.
Right.
But it just wasn't fun if I had to sit at the table and I couldn't go to the bar, and I couldn't, you know, people don't recognize you because you have a mask. You can't really socialize.
Right.
It's kind of, you know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I agree. It was a big blow for everybody. I mean, you know, people like lost family members. Things got canceled. Like, I felt bad for people that were in high school that like couldn't walk the stage. You know, I mean, right? Like, so there's a lot of like things with it, but it's at this point, I mean, it's hard to say, honestly. At this point, it's like you're gonna have to it's judgment call, really, is what it all comes down to. I mean, everybody like has like the choice, so it's just a matter of, are you going to go and what precautions are you going to take? Because you have the option to do it or you have the option to not. But it really hits hard in the music scene because there's a lot of musicians that don't really have regular jobs. And so they're depending on their music, you know? And there's some people that just like, I mean, honestly, I don't know where I'd be without music, you know? I mean, I probably would have, you know, to be transparent, I probably would have killed myself a long time ago, straight up. You know, music has saved a lot of people. Yeah. And to take that away, it's hard. It's a hard thing for a lot of people. You know, I'm in a different place now, but there's some people that aren't. You know, so you put that restriction, and then like people are left in their own mind and their own thoughts, and they can't express themselves. Like that's a rough thing. So I just, you know, I feel for everybody. You know. Yeah.
One of the things, Roy, you want to add anything to that? One of the things that, before you respond, one of the things that I'll say too is like, prior to, probably around the beginning of 2020, I started hearing a lot about social emotional well-being, you know, and it's really weird because, you know, even recently, Mike Howe, the singer for Metal Church, like he died, right? And then people were like, oh, he died. And then like a couple of weeks later, like, oh, he committed suicide. Like, people deal with so much emotional baggage and stress, and, you know, on the surface, we're like, oh, we're fine, I'm good, man. You know, your parent, you know, your family says, how are you? I'm good, you know, all right. and then in reality you're not, and people can say bad things.
I 100% feel that. Like there has, like, because I see people with issues, and like sometimes they don't know that there's an outlet for that. They just sit in those issues, and they sit in that like dwelling state, and the dwelling state can be a really safe place for a lot of people. But if you really look at that, those places aren't where you should stay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so when you have restrictions and you have all of these things that you're taking away from people, like there needs to be an outlet. And some people don't realize that, you know, you could use this depression, you could use this anxiety, you could use all of that and figure out a way to channel that to something positive. So with the COVID thing, you take away all of that, and what are people left with? You know, I mean, they'll just take their lives.
Or they medicate.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
medicate and do bad stuff.
I will be honest. It still feels a little new. Like, I know everyone's playing shows. There's festivals being thrown. It still doesn't feel right.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't. I mean, I know, and a lot of people probably are feeling the same way. But, you know, like Jojo said, just, you know, you got to make that judgment call. You know, if you really feel like you want to go out, just please be careful. You know, because there's people that really will benefit from you being careful. But other than that, I mean, it to me, it still feels too new to be like there was that Lollapalooza where that was what, like, people were crazy next to each other. Like, what? Like, how was that? You know, so I mean, I don't know. You know, do you still? But remember that everyone else is, you know, I guess, doing them still. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll be transparent too. I got COVID earlier in the year, and luckily for me, I had my shot, and so I didn't get sick. But I remember when I got it, because I'm a teacher, I get tested every week. I was in Austin at the Come and Take It, and I interviewed Tommy Vex that night. And I remember I was in the club, getting ready for the show, and I texted my friend, and I said, and it was packed. I said, nobody in this club is wearing a mask. And the next week, I came back positive for COVID. I had to stay out of work for a little bit. So it's like, man, you know, thank God, you know, I had the shot. I didn't get sick. But, you know, now we're hearing about people getting sick. And I read today a 27-year-old police officer died from COVID. Young people are getting it. So, and then just this week, I did an interview with this band from Austin called Frozen Soul, really heavy death metal band. And I remember, you know, we were talking about the same issue, and they said something like, they were like three of the members said, get vaccinated, get vaccinated. They were like so pro get vaccinated. And I don't like to say things like it because now the issue has become so politicized. Yeah. You're almost kind of afraid to say something because people are going to backlash or get pissed off because, you know, that's my right or my whatever.
Well, the Offspring, they just kicked out their
drummer.
Sure,
I saw that.
And they got Josh Freese. I mean, if that's not a big, like, listen up, you know, to the people, then, I mean, hey, I mean, you got people who are getting kicked out of bands who they've been in for years. You know what I mean? It's crazy. All because of they're not being considerate, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a serious thing. It's crazy how serious that is, you know, that people will take it to that length, you know.
But nonetheless, I heard you guys got a show coming up this month, right?
Yeah, this is going to be our first show. Well, the last time we played San Antonio was in 2019, September, around there. And we played one show at
so
Come and Take It.
Almost 2 years?
We played a show at Come and Take It at the beginning of the year because we're like, we haven't played in over a year. Let's play. And they were having shows, so, but it was real strict, you know, like hardly anybody was there without a mask and everything, which is great. And then recently, like a couple weeks ago, we started all talking. We're like, people are playing, should we start playing? And everybody's like, well, let's see what we can, you know, what happens, what we can find, and so on. And they offered us a show. And we're like, that sounds great, you know.
So Amp Room, August 21st with the Heroin. We got an early slot, 8 o'clock. So once you get off of work, head over there. Once you get out the gym, head over there. Once you stop doing whatever you're doing, cooking for the fam, right? What do people do? Hang out, write books. If you're writing a book, you're not writing the.
Just go to the gym before.
Yeah.
There you go. Skip the gym.
8 o'clock, Amp Room, August 21st. Be there.
Yeah. Very cool. Anything else lined up for the year so far?
We have another show coming up in September, but we don't want to cannibalize this one right now.
Sure.
But yeah, we're actually we're going to be playing at Vibes with Makari coming up, and I think that's September 14th.
Is that the Vibes Underground or the
Yeah.
Vibes?
No, Vibes.
The Vibes Event Center, the big one.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that should be cool.
Yeah, that should be really fun. I've never
cool.
played on that stage. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we have.
So.
Cool.
10 years.
No, that was Alamo City Musical.
Is that a different place?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, different place.
It's like a block away.
But yeah, it's all the big warehouse stuff.
Wait, with Johnny Craig? Didn't we play there? Vibes?
Rockbox.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah. It's cool. Like the Vibes is the big, the Rock Box is the medium, and then have the Vibes Underground, which is the smaller one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like what they're doing over there, and
Yeah, and hopefully by the end of the year or towards the end of the year, we're gonna have more music out, and we're really excited. Like we want to push once we start getting everything in order.
Yeah.
But I don't want to promise anything until we have it in order. Then we're like, here it is.
But the important thing is that the tracks are done.
Yes.
The tracks are done.
Well, the tracks are done recording.
Yeah.
We're waiting for Clifton.
For the mix, yeah. And let Cliff take his time. You're gonna get something badass.
Oh, that's true.
But okay, when you do get the tracks from Cliff, be sure to send them to me too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Be sure to send them to. I just got 2. I want them all. I want them all. I love to listen to stuff. I love to be privy to stuff, And the good thing is too is like once I hear it, then I can talk about it and help promote the band as well. As we end out, guys, let's talk a little bit about what's happening here in our scene too. I mean, as veterans, guys, you see a lot of the young people coming up, and I get messages and contacted from all these young cats, and I'm like, hey man, keep working, But it seems like the San Antonio metal scene has continued to maintain, its veracity. It's still very strong, and it sometimes I stand back and I'm like, man, I feel. Despite the fact that we've been doing our thing for 25 years, I still feel very honored and privileged that, I couldn't do what I do if the scene wasn't strong, the musicians weren't there, the bands weren't there. And there's so many young bands coming up.
Yeah, I totally agree 100%. I've always felt like San Antonio was so underrated. Like, there's so many great bands out there. There's so many good musicians. And we just need people to start looking at San Antonio. Like, even the scene has always been there. There's been times where, like, it's changed. I mean, things have changed, I remember a time when people used to mosh. Yeah. And then I went to sleep for, a few months. I came back and everyone was dancing, so, but things progress,
Dancing like that?
Yeah, they were doing some things I'd never seen in my life. Like, I felt like I had to walk in with a helmet, and I did, I think, actually, just because somebody donkey kicked me. But,
exactly.
the scene is still there in San Antonio. You just got to look for it, because the biggest issue is nobody's supporting the scene. You got to work hard to get people there, because people are like, I'll catch the next one.
Yeah.
Or like, it's like,
or I'll watch it on YouTube tomorrow.
Right. Exactly. So
Sure.
if y'all just come out to the scene is going to explode, because there's so many great musicians out there, and so many great bands that nobody's listening to, and you really should.
Yep. You guys want to add on to that?
No.
Well said.
Totally agree. We need you at our shows. That way we can all share that experience together. Because if everybody just waits to watch it on YouTube, that experience doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So YouTube's great and everything, but there's nothing like being at a live event.
Sure.
And that's one of the biggest things I missed throughout this whole last year. Like, I couldn't play, I couldn't photograph anything.
Yeah.
Now it's like the first time I went, or we played, and the first time, it was awesome. Like, you just felt like, wow, I missed this so much. So.
Speaking of YouTube, I saw some live footage of you guys playing at the Dirty Dog Bar.
That was our first show ever.
Oh, really?
That's the one I was telling you
Yeah,
about.
there were some songs that I saw you guys play there, and I was wondering to myself, are these songs that the band still has, or did they trash them? The Sweet Ass 74,
We haven't.
or the
Sorry.
Red Around Us.
Those are songs that we actually, we've played them, and those are actually older. and we started writing newer stuff.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we ended up recording the newer stuff.
Yeah, okay, got it.
But
They're
I
still
would
part of
love
the
to
set
still
list,
go
maybe?
back. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I would still love to go back and work on those.
Yeah, they're part of this. They're part of the sets, but we just felt like the recording wise, we had just catchier stuff. To kinda put out. But yeah.
Yeah, when it came down to figure out what we were going to record, we were really enjoying what we were now writing.
And unless we get signed and somebody wants to pay for our recordings, we'll record everything we got. But since we're funding it,
right.
You know what I mean?
That's a good. I'm glad you bring that up because, you know, I think now, you know, just because we live in such a DIY kind of music world, you know, I don't hear a lot of bands really kind of pursuing a lot of like an independent label to get signed, because like I can do a lot of this. We can do a lot of this ourselves, especially, you know, if you have a savvy person or two in the band who knows about that stuff and how to get on Spotify and playlists and distribution and stuff like that. But is that something that is interesting to you?
So like Jaime is very, very capable of recording us. He's recorded some earlier tracks from our previous band, and they sounded pretty good. But there's Oh yeah, and Roy actually
his shirt right there says
Roy
it.
actually works at a studio, Woodshed Studios. Little plug, pay us. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so we're perfectly capable of doing it. It's just a matter of. So before Roy kind of like got into the Woodshed thing, we were more like, we know we can do it, but we'd rather go in and just get it done.
Right.
You know what I mean? But now that Roy, we were blessed with Roy because he wasn't always in the band, you know, and he came through and then he got with Woodshed. So we could. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We have, you know, so many options.
Yeah.
So many options.
And that's a good thing. You know, it's always good when you have people in your band who are versatile and can bring a lot more into the project.
Phenomenal photographer.
Oh God, yes.
Jaime here.
Yes,
Jesus
Jaime.
Christ.
Jaime.
Well, the cool thing, like, yes, as much as we can do it, I've recorded albums for other bands, but I just wanted to be a musician again and not be worrying about everything.
Yeah.
But I don't know how, but I remember. I keep remembering Clifton would stop me here and there when he would see me, and he would talk to me about recording.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "Who's this guy?" And he'd be like, "I love your band, Finn." And I'm like, "Oh, cool."
So he knew about you.
He knew about me. So one day he's like, "Just come in and just tell me what you think." And from day one, something about we just hit it off, and we
he's a
had
great guy.
so much fun. Like, and not only that, he really knows how to bring out the best in what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, he listens and he's like, why don't you try something like this, like, or like,
because he's not gonna BS you. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
If you come unprepared, he's gonna let you know, like, hey man, maybe you should just come back once you practiced.
but he's also not the kind of person that's going to try to rewrite your song.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's got input, so we've never come in there and left with it exactly as we try to record it.
Right, that's cool.
And that's what's awesome, because most people just record what you want to do and that's it. They don't even like put any feedback in. And I really want somebody to like to be on the other side and be outside of it and actually actually like give us his creative thought. And he's actually changed some things after we record them, and we're like, the first time I hear like a mix, I'm like, I hear it and I was like, what? Whoa. Then I'm like, you know, that works. That's really good.
Yeah. That's great, man. I can't wait to hear your new tunes.
How do you feel about that since you do that?
No, I mean, Clifton's great, man. Yeah. He what's that song? Decibels, I think, with the he totally changed the intro to that, and like, it was great. It's great. It's way better now. Like, the intro's way better.
Yeah.
Pinche Cliff.
He's like, I'm gonna give it a little bit of a dance beat. I'm like, oh, okay.
All right.
I thought it was our heaviest song, but cool.
Well, I want to go when you guys play your show at Vibes. I want to go videotape it. Awesome. So don't forget that, okay?
I'll let you know when that is. Oh, I'll make sure like get you in for that.
Is that a Twin Productions event?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm down with my girl Erica and Jen. They know me.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'd love to go out there and shoot your show at a big show like that. Gentlemen, as we end out, any last words? Anything you want to share? Anything I missed about Crowns and Coffins?
I'm just gonna say, Rob, I appreciate you. Thanks for having us on, man. I've been watching you since I was a kid.
Oh wow!
I know I don't want to date you there, but you know what I mean. Like it's cool to like actually like. I like seeing all your pictures. Like that's the Rob I remember.
Yeah.
So it's cool, man. And make sure to check us out. Crownsxcoffins, August 21st, Amp Room, 8:00. Be there, be square.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. I know we've talked a lot, and we've always said we're going to do something, and I'm glad we finally did.
Yeah, I'm glad too, Jaime.
Thanks, guys.
All right. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for coming over and doing this. I wanted to talk about the band because I'm a fan of the music that I've heard so far, and I know that that the new tracks are just going to be just as cool, man. I can't wait. And I know, and I also, again, let me reiterate that I just love kind of like the rich history that you guys bringing into this band because, you know, I respect and admire that a lot because, you know, as we get older and we're doing the things that we're doing, like you said, it's hard work, man. You know, you struggle. But, you know, deep down inside, as long as we're doing our passion, whether it's music or songwriting, it makes us feel happy and content. And I think that's all we can ask for in this day and age.
That's right.
All right. Remember, everyone out there, the band is called Crownsxcoffins. Look for their videos. They're out there on YouTube. Look for their brand new music. It's going to be dropping hopefully this fall. You're going to dig it. You saw the band only right here on Rob's MetalWorks.